just wanted to talk to you guys about me as a DM and what to expect when you're at my table. First, I know that a lot of DMs come from the mindset of, oh, this is my world, my creation, my storyline, and you guys just happen to be characters in it. I don't like doing that. The way my point of view is it's our world, and you guys are interacting in it and a part of it, and that matters. So I'll take my characters' backstories, add it in. They can give me ideas for a new discovered land, and we just gotta make it come to life. Um, I might be the lead storyteller, but I'm not the only storyteller. It's the way my point of view is. That being said, what happens in the world truly matters. The way you interact with people, whether it's positive, negative, matters. Um, your character or your past characters are still mattering in the community because at one time they were there. So you're going to, especially if you change up your character or switch characters altogether, your old character might know the bartender. So the bartender might mention, I knew this guy back in the day and start describing your character. You're going to have those kind of interactions at my table. Where you go into a town and you accidentally burn down a building or whatnot. All that stuff matters. Also, in my game, I tend to change up what's in the monster manuals, or if I'm doing a pre-made adventure, I like to change it up, twist it up, and add things, take away things. That way, someone can't go out and buy the monster manual and keep track, like um, rolls of okay, this guy has X amount of HP. We've done this amount, so he's almost dead. Like I don't like metagaming at all on my tables, so I do everything I can to shut it down. So I will sometimes change up the monster stats, just so we don't get those interactions. Same with the pre-made things. My maps are different so that player A can't be like, guys, I've done this adventure already. There's a trap here and the secret door's here, so we can get in and out. No, I change them all the time and add stuff, subtract stuff, just so it's fun for everybody and there's no metagaming that goes on. So that kind of goes into now what are the tools I like to use at my tables. Um, I come from the mindset of a little bit of theater mind, a little bit minis, and combine them. I'd like to do a little bit both. There's some game sessions we might have a map down, no miniatures, and strictly role playing, basically. Sometimes I pass out graph paper and let the players map everything out as I describe it. Other times I'm fully miniatured out, the table's loaded, and we have these big maps and miniatures and some terrain stuff. So it is a little bit of mixture, just so that it changes and like people can get different points of views, and it just keeps the game from being stagnant or boring. Um, Also, I like to use handouts, whether it's face cards or you know, sometimes physical props I'll put on the table just so that people can get a visual and kind of be all on the same page. I notice, especially with newer players that come from video game world, they need that like visual aspect of the game. They can't just theater mind of it. So I'll have like those different things out. I might print out paper and just have this image of a river on there, just something so that they can help them get into the zone or immerse into the game. I do use a thing called a critical hit and fumble chart. My critical hit chart is pretty intense. It's definitely a lot of damage can be done and a lot of one kills if you roll that 20. So since there's so much, as I call them, so much goodies for the players on here, on my fumble chart, I've made the rule of A fumble counts as a 1 or a 2 because there's just so much 1 kills um, on the critical hit side. Now, when we use this, it's when the players decide. I don't decide. The players decide it. Also, it counts for the bad guys too. So if I'm rolling as a DM and I hit a 2, well, I'm rolling on my fumble chart. So it's both ways. It's not just one-sided. Also, my point of view of tech savvy stuff at my table. I'm kind of old school when it comes to it. I prefer books, papers, dice. I do not allow digital dice at my table. Do not, do not, do not. And I know some people like, but then people can manipulate rolls and all. Call me old fashioned, but I want dice, physical dice at my table. That's a part of the experience. I want real dice at the table. And then people are like, but not everybody has dice. I'm one of those DMs that you can just show up with nothing and you're able to play. I have dice for you. Don't even worry. So no electronic dice at my tables. I get not everybody can afford to get the books. I mean, the books are $50 a pop for one book, unless you go online and order it. But even that, you gotta pay shipping and handling. So, and I get like books are heavy to carry. So I know some people like to keep their books on their iPads, tablets, phones, computers. Again, I prefer character sheet being on paper, character sheet, you know, where it's simple, write on, whatnot. And I know some people have their characters on their phones and their computers, and I have no issue at all with you creating your character um, on your phone or on your computer and either printing it out or I slide you a character sheet and you transfer your character that is on your computer or on your phone onto a paper. I just find when people use tablets and phones and computers, things can be very distracting for other people. It tends to take up a lot of room, and granted, it's Dungeons and Dragons. You got 50 different books on the table. I get it, but you can always slide your books under the table or your chair. But I like old fashioned. Call me old school, whatever. I started playing D&D in the 80s, watching my mom and her sister and their friends playing it, and I like it where there's no distraction. The whole point of this game is physical interaction with players, and I don't want us to be bogged into a computer. Um, Also, with that, kind of goes into phones. At my table, I don't like people constantly having their phones out. Da, da, da. I get it if you have kids. I get it. You have to check and all. But when you're coming, I know, especially for me, who my friends live so far away, sometimes 2 hours away. And, when we're playing, I like to have this time for game time. So if I have someone who's just constantly just blowing up their phone and it's not work related, it's not emergency family type stuff, it's just them chatting with a friend in between plays, I will be the type that, okay, you're losing a hit point or, oh, you're not going to get the experience levels because you're not paying attention. You're just, it's about a group interaction and you're not interacting. And then when it's your turn, you're just like, okay, what's going on? I don't like that at my table. So, some of my players would, just so that we would know, okay, kids text messaging mom that's playing, or oh, it's work, or oh, this is important, I have to take it. They will set up certain ringtones. That way, when that ringtone goes off and they're looking at the phone, I know, okay, this is important. They're not just sitting there in between turns, just bored. No. Okay, so that's one way we handle it. Like I said, I mean, D&D takes so much time to play and sometimes takes a long time in between. So, game sessions that it's like we want to be focused with the game. I know that some technology is helpful with immersion, like music and stuff like that, and I get that, but I have trouble hearing sometimes. So the music aspect, if I play it in the background or use sound effects, like I've tried it before, but I have trouble hearing the players when they're talking or whatnot when it comes to some of that whole immersion sound effects and music. I'm not against it, but I don't use it a lot in my games just so I can focus and hear what you're saying. Um, like I said, it's just me not being able to hear. Um, when it comes to DMing, I use the DM screens, um, but it doesn't mean I'm always behind it or will always roll behind it. I like walking around the board or the table or whatever you want to, our playing area, so I can help people out and stuff. But I do use DM screens, and I just I like being immersed with the group, and that's why again going. I don't like digital or technology. And the last thing I'm going to talk about kind of goes back to being on the phones. I don't like a whole lot of side chat. Just, oh, hey, did you watch that football game? Yeah, that was such an awesome football game. Da da da. Believe me, I love my football enough, but we're here to play D&D. So what I tend to do is before we sit down and play, I will, for my home games, have food out and some drinks and whatnot. That way, before the game, you can be like, hey, did you see Tennessee finally beat those Gators? Yes, we slaughtered them in that last quarter. It was great. So you can have that dialogue, you know. That way you can have your, hey, how's your family? Oh, da 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 type thing, like that interaction. That way when it's game time, it's game time. We're trying to, explore this ancient dungeon that people thought never existed or was forgotten and finding that mystical item to go save this far off town. That's what we want to focus on. And then after the game's over, I am all about input. If you like something that I did, tell me about it. I'll incorporate more of it. If you say, Dawn, this shiznick over here was just boring as hell, I won't do it again. I am about this is our game. So if you guys say more combat, I'll add more combat. If you guys say more traps, I do traps. Like it's interaction. It's about us collaborating. And so I take input and I use it. After that, we also do mingling, continue talking about how the Tennessee Vols finally beat the Gators and that kind of stuff. But game time is game time. And as far as notes, if there's key stuff I want you guys to have or know about, I'll make up packets and put the maps and stuff in here that I want you guys to be really familiar with, or might give you a list of, NPCs that you guys are going to experience regularly, or just a little bit of town history that you guys would know about. I do that kind of stuff too. So, but yeah, that's basically what you can kind of expect from my tables. Um, as far as slapstick versus serious style, aka, are we going to be playing like a Mel Brooks version of Robin Hood or Monty Python's Holy Grail style versus Lord of the Rings? We really need to, defeat and, for Gondor and whatnot. You know, we, do it as a group. So if I see the group wants to do slapstick, funny style playing, that's the path I'll go. If they want more of a this is real life matters and the world's going to die and we're being very serious type thing, then I'll go that path. I let the players decide that. So that's about it. And just let me know how you guys want to do things.